So one of the challenges of building a two-story home has to do with neighborhood-friendly design. You obviously want to be cognizant of the neighboring properties that are located around the custom home that you're building. And one of the main topics that's going to come into neighborhood-friendly design is going to be privacy that's associated with not only the floor plan, but also with the viewpoints throughout the upstairs level. So let's get to it. Now, I'll be the first to say that it's really difficult to create true privacy in two-story development territory. And in a lot of the areas that are being built in Phoenix, you're gonna start seeing two-story building become the norm. As most people know, most tract home buildings move into townhomes, they're moving to two-story units to be able to get maximum density within the space. But specifically with infill development, it becomes difficult to build to the modern lifestyle because of the size that's necessary for luxury living here in Phoenix. This is why we took on our projects of Aussie Modern and our Coastal Modern that are the first of their kind for Rebuild the Block. And while a lot of people from the outside might not see the efforts that we took to be able to make these modern designs come together and be neighborhood friendly, I'd like to discuss the main points that we were looking into during the design of this build. So the first thing I want to cover is the overall architectural form of the house. Now, one of the things that really bother me with a lot of two-story development is these large stucco behemoth boxes that are maximizing the square footage of the lot. And while we know that we could have maximized and probably got a 36 or maybe a 3,800 square foot home residing on this lot, we opted for a smaller footprint of around 3,200 square feet, which we thought would encompass all of the functionality that would be necessary for those that would be residing within the home. The second thing that we wanted to do with neighborhood-friendly design is I didn't like 22 to 25 foot tall walls that extended to the maximum lot lines that are associated here in Phoenix, which is a 3 and a 10-foot setback. I felt like this overall would overpower the neighboring properties, and so in this Australian architecture, we were able to create a more modular form that would run the center of the house that we're currently residing upstairs. So we've already gathered a lot of questions, not only from neighbors, but also through our social media channels of why we decided to build an Australian-based design here in the desert in Phoenix. And simply put, this would allow us to be able to create an asymmetrical gable, which gives some influence to the overall ranch architecture that's located throughout the Arcadia space, but also allow for us to have a form that could be condensed into the center of the upstairs structure that would allow for additional privacy for not only the homeowners, but for those neighbors that were residing to the east and the west of this property. So how did we do it? Well, ultimately, in the city of Phoenix, on the size lot that we're currently developing, we have a 3 and a 10-foot setback. And typically when building two-story, you have a large stucco box that was mentioned previously that usually is 10 feet top plate plus 2 feet of trusses plus another 9 or 10 feet and then a gable. So if you did the math right, you're sitting 22, 23 feet to the roof, and then it usually pitches up to there to a maximum height of 30 feet. So as you guys might imagine, this would definitely overpower some of the low-slung ranches. So this is where our Australian architecture comes into play. In our second story level, we were able to get our setbacks to a 11.5-foot setback on the west side and a 25-foot setback on the east side, which will create more privacy for those that are residing upstairs, as well as our neighboring properties. Some other items that went into the overall design to make it more neighborhood friendly would be the placement of windows. Now, we know that we needed to get a large and expansive amount of glass within the space, but we tried to do that within the front and the backyard spaces. And in the backyard, we'll be addressing some of the privacy issues with our neighbor to the rear with a large ficus or Hollywood hedge that we've talked about in previous videos. But we really wanted to minimize the amount of windows that be residing on the east and the west wing of the home. And by doing so, we feel like we've truly encompassed a design that we can be proud of while still capturing all of those amazing views for our future homeowner. Can't wait to get your thoughts on this amazing design and continue to follow along to be able to see this one-of-a-kind development here in Phoenix. Have a great day.